What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.
Django Unchained, another movie by Quentin Tarantino. Talked about yesterday, Inglourious Bastards. Of course, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood just recently came out. Went and revisited a bunch of Tarantino films, this being one of them. It's been a while since I've watched it. Came out in 2012. Starring Jamie Foxx. First time Jamie Foxx has worked with Tarantino. Also, I think the first time Tarantino worked with Leonardo DiCaprio. This one being more of a spaghetti western type of a movie, where it's Western time. I guess not Western time. It's like it's a Western but mixed with slavery because it's about a slave, Django, Jamie Foxx's character, who becomes free, teams up with a bounty hunter, and goes on a revenge killing spree, which, was more for, it was part of the legal system at the time, bounties were. And so it sets up nicely for a revenge film, which isn't the first Tarantino revenge film. Kill Bill, obviously, being the penultimate revenge film, I would say, in a lot of ways. That being more of the martial arts version, the kung fu film homage version, where this one's definitely more of a Western. And just so good. It's just such a good movie, Django Unchained. Jamie Foxx is great in this film. I really enjoy Christoph Waltz's performance, this being his second film coming off of Inglourious Bastards, where he has, Christoph Waltz has, this great ability to be serious, but then also very cartoonishly joyful, which is it's nice. I really enjoyed him in this movie. I mean, it's interesting to go back in time, similar to if you're looking for a history podcast to kind of open the window into what life was like in the past in this country. Go check out The Dollop with Dave Anthony and Gareth Reynolds. It's a comedy podcast, but understanding, listening to stories from our past, the American history past, it's amazing how much we've evolved as a society and as a culture. And even though we're still dealing with a lot of people that have dug their heels in and decided not to evolve and change with current trends and current cultural norms, we're still far past where we used to be. I mean, science and medicine, you go back and you kind of look and see where we were at not that long ago, and it's amazing that we're living in this time. Sad that we're living in a time where a lot of the same ignorance takes place, but still happy to see we're not doing, the slave thing anymore. It's very nice that we were able to get some government regulation in the whole business market of using slaves. Granted, the government did open up for people to just use slave labor in other countries, and prisons are basically slave camps currently in the United States. So it's not completely gone. It's changed in a lot of ways, but at least it's not the standard. But it's interesting watching this movie, seeing them go to plantations and see how slaves were treated, and just the whole follow through of everything that was going on in that time that this movie shows is great. But it's Jamie Foxx trying to reunite with his wife, who they were split apart and sold. His wife being sold for very cheap, just to probably sell her to a horrible owner, and Django was sold to a horror. I don't know, but they were split up and sold off. And this is Django's search to find her whilst seeking revenge. And it's just one of those, not quite like a twist of story of history like Inglourious Bastards is, or Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where it relies on. I mean, it doesn't really. This one doesn't really rely on any one historic story or character to make the end so amazing. Because this one, because it's just more of a revenge thing. I mean, most people know about slavery, but even if you don't, this movie clearly shows what horrific things people were doing to other humans during this time. And it really opens your eyes in a lot of ways. Also makes it fitting for Tarantino, who's known to use the N-word in a lot of his movies. It really opens up the justification for its use in this movie, because his movies are very much grounded in a sense of reality, except for the endings of some movies. But language is always kind of consistently in all Tarantino films, language has always been kind of grounded in reality, which in reality, people say offensive shit behind closed doors, especially if they're somebody like a lot of conservatives do this. I mean, up until President Trump, where they were like closeted bigots, where they would, they would reserve their talk and their bigotry for, being at home, being around their quote people. This movie kind of brings it to the forefront because, I mean, back then, black people were not considered as like human. They were considered like lower than dogs in some instances. And it was just, and using that word, that term, was, just effortless. It was just kind of part of the everyday vernacular, especially for in the South and in the areas, I would imagine, more so in the areas where slavery was more pronounced. Although there was slavery up in the North, too. I mean, rich, wealthy people had slaves that, not necessarily, were slaves for an industry, but just slaves for, home upkeep and raising kids and just housekeeping and things of that nature, taking care of your mansion. Yeah, it's just a good. I mean, it's from top to bottom. I really enjoyed it. For whatever reason, when I first watched the movie, it didn't really. I don't know. I guess it was good. That was for some reason my memory of this movie, it didn't stand out as much as his previous movies, or I didn't like it as much. But going back to it, I think maybe that was a false memory, because rewatching it, it's like, oh yeah, that was like just amazing scenes. I mean, it wasn't this movie. I don't feel had this same care taken to it as Inglourious Bastards did, or as even Once Upon a Time in Hollywood did. But still, I think watching it the second time, I have a change of opinion where it's just gorgeous. I mean, there's some dark shit that's going on screen, especially, Leo plays, he's amazing. Leonardo DiCaprio, amazing actor. Jamie Foxx, obviously, one of the most talented human beings on the face of the planet. Just one of the most well-rounded, diverse entertainers known to man. Christoph Waltz, I love in certain, when casted specifically. Maybe it was his character that I didn't quite enjoy the first time around in this movie, but it's just so good. I mean, as far as Westerns go, I'm not a huge fan of Westerns, but this kind of Western where you're getting an unconventional star of the film, an unconventional protagonist for the film, I think it works great. Great movie. But go revisit Django Unchained. New episodes of The Ray Taylor Show come out daily. Subscribe everywhere. Buy my art over at InspiredDisorder.com and save 10% with coupon code INSPIRED. Follow me on all social media at Ray Taylor. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!